AITA for offering to take my sister-in-law home after her stepmother snapped at her multiple times on vacation. I recently went on a weekend trip with my in-laws. Sarah, 68, Mark, my father-in-law, and Mark's daughter, Emily, 40. Sarah is Mark's wife and Emily's stepmother. From the start, Sarah seemed to be in a bad mood. She was short with everyone, but especially with Emily. Anytime Emily asked a question or made a comment, Sarah would snap at her. For example, when Emily asked if we could stop for a snack, Sarah snapped, "We just ate. Stop being so needy." This happened several times, and Emily was clearly trying to keep things peaceful but couldn't seem to do anything right. Mark looked uncomfortable but stayed quiet, likely to avoid making things worse. At one point, after another sharp comment from Sarah, Emily looked upset and withdrawn. That's when I texted Emily privately and asked if she wanted me to take her home so she could have some space. She immediately agreed and thanked me for offering. Even though Emily lives 30 miles away from me, I didn't mind the drive because I wanted to make sure she was okay. On the way back, we talked, and she seemed relieved to leave the tense situation. Later, Mark texted me to thank me for stepping in, saying he really appreciated it. Since then, Sarah hasn't mentioned the incident directly, but she's been pushing for me to go shopping with her. I suspect it's an excuse to talk about Emily, but I've been hesitant because I don't want to get caught in the middle. Mark also called me a few weeks later to talk about the trip. He asked for my perspective on what was going on between Sarah and Emily, saying he's worried this isn't just a one-off bad weekend. I kept my response vague because I didn't want to make things worse. Now I'm wondering if I overstepped by offering to take Emily home, or if it was the right thing to do to help her get out of an uncomfortable situation. Normally we go to dinner every week with the in-laws. However, after this we have not seen either of them. Update. I wanted to provide an update to address some questions from my original post. Sarah and I usually go shopping together. We bonded during the pandemic, and it became something we regularly did since my wife hates crowds and loud noises. Sarah asking me to go shopping wasn't unusual, but her persistence this time felt different and alarming. Mark and Sarah have always been kind to me. My wife didn't have a relationship with them until I came into the picture. For context, my wife was abused by Sarah's first and second husbands, so she kept her distance for years. Mark, Sarah's third husband, is the only person my wife ever trusted. He even helped her get into therapy, which has been life-changing for her. About not having a backbone. I get why some people might say that, but for me, matching energy isn't always the solution. I don't condone what Sarah did. I was just shocked, bewildered, and stunned to see this behavior. Our current relationship with Mark and Sarah, since the incident in September, we haven't been invited to dinner. I could be overthinking it, but I feel like it might be tied to me declining to tell Mark what happened on the phone or refusing Sarah's invitation to go shopping. Mark and Emily's conversation. Mark and Emily did speak a couple of days after the incident. Emily laid out everything, explaining how this behavior has been happening since she was a kid. I don't know if Mark really listened because they haven't spoken since, but I'm proud of Emily for standing up for herself and telling Mark she will no longer have Sarah in her life. I want to thank everyone for their perspectives. While I didn't believe I was the a-hole, I genuinely wanted to hear what else could have been done to handle the situation without causing unnecessary stress for everyone. For now, my wife and I haven't considered being around Mark or Sarah again, but we'll see what happens moving forward. Update 2. I noticed some confusion about the relationships, so let me clarify since it is a bit complicated. My wife, Ashley, name changed for privacy, is Mark's stepdaughter. Mark is Sarah's third husband, not Ashley's biological father. Ashley was abused by Sarah's first and second husbands while growing up, but she's never had any issues with Mark. In fact, he's been a really positive influence. He's the one who helped Ashley get into therapy and rebuild trust in family relationships. That's why this situation with Sarah and Emily has been so upsetting. It's clear this toxic dynamic has been present for years, and Mark may not fully realize the extent of it. Relationships. Mark, my father-in-law, Phil, and Sarah's third husband. He's a supportive figure who helped my wife, Ashley, get into therapy. Sarah, my mother-in-law, Mill, and Ashley's biological mother. She has a history of toxic behavior. Ashley, my wife, she was abused by Sarah's first and second husbands but has no issues with Mark. Emily, Sarah's stepdaughter from Mark's previous marriage. She experienced Sarah's toxic behavior during the trip. Hope that clears things up. Let me know if there are any other questions.